So today I want us to play in our practice with this notion of remembrance and forgetfulness. A lot of times when I forget things, particularly as I've aged, it kind of becomes like, oh my gosh, I'm old, I'm forgetting things, what's that? Well, I forgot things when I was young too, I just didn't worry about it as much. But one of the things that I love about the Tantra philosophy, and particularly embodied in the Shiva Nataraja, the dancing Shiva, is that the universe is designed for us to forget, because then there's the joy of remembering. And I like to think of it of kids playing hide and seek. When you play hide and seek, it's not hide, there's the find that's part of it. If you're not found, that's a bad thing. I mean, it means the big kids left you in the closet and didn't want to play with you anyway. But and the joy of being found, what do kids do? And we do, we squeal, we laugh, it's such joy that we found. It's like lovers, playing hide and seek from each other for the joy of coming around the corner and seeing each other again. So it helps me not get down on myself when I forget that I am enough, when I forget that I'm safe, when I forget that I'm not alone. All of those things we know, but when we start that internal dialogue that I call the beating up dialogue, or there's another name for it. It's like, I can't, it's cute, but I'll come up with it. See, forgetting. It's kind of a, my point exactly. Kind of trash talk yourself, right? And that's forgetting who you are. It's forgetting that you are a child of the universe, and the universe does not make mistakes. It makes a whole rich kind of way for us to discover and figure out who we are if we're up to it, but it doesn't make mistakes. So knowing that, then, if you haven't already, taken a good seat and do a nice manual inner rotation. Sit well, so you can roll to the frontmost and innermost edge of the sits bones. And from there, then the pelvis is tilted, frontal hip bones are tilted forward, sits bones are moving back. Then we don't want to stay there. We want to align the upper body. The tailbone lengthens then down, so you feel the pelvic floor tone and the low belly slightly tone. And as you draw the side ribs back and the tailbone down, the head of the arm bones start to move back. And you just come into this sense of easy alignment. It's not stiff. If you're having to grip and hold, then you're not in alignment. You are having to use some of the 360 core muscles, the back muscles and the front core muscles, to stay upright, but they're not clenched or gripped. Just the action of the tailbone moving down and slightly forward, and the xiphoid, bottom tip of the sternum, moving down and slightly back. Think of the tailbone being an arrow and the bottom tip of the sternum, the xiphoid, being an arrow, and the arrows draw towards each other evenly, gently, sweetly, but clearly. When you first scan the physical body, any sort of aches and pains, what is the physical body feeling? We were talking before I clicked on about allergy season is crazy right now, and so every time we cough, we think, oh my God, it's COVID, but it's really just allergies, most likely anyway, and that I feel itchy the whole time. So just notice your body and what's going on with it. Then settle into the energy body, the subtle body. Notice your mood, your energetic quality. When we forget, we have, in a sense, lifted a veil, or since I was dusting, that's part of what's made my nose go crazy. The dust covers our light, covers the shine in us. And that happens, and then we dust it off or lift the veil. The joy of rediscovering ourselves and each other is consistently and constantly wonderful. We remember who we are and we remember our true purpose, and that is to serve the greater good. Draw your palms together in front of your heart center. One soft Om, inhale. Release the hands, flutter the eyes open, and come to hands and knees. Oh. Oh. Patting. If you want, spread the fingers, connect with the whole circumference of the palm. And then the action initiates from the hips each time. Exhale as you tuck your tailbone, lift your waistline, bow your head. Inhale, lift your sits bones, slide your shoulder blades down the back, collarbones lift, head lifts. Continue at your own pace, as slowly as you can, breathing in and out through the nose. Come into Ujjayi breath, where you're constricting the back of the throat slightly, and you hear the breath coming in and out. And if you're breathing fully from the diaphragm, Ujjayi breath is a lot easier, a lot more accessible. And then the next time you come through center, pause and make little circles just with the hips. So the head's pretty still, the shoulders are still. You're just doing little flat circles with the hips. And then the other way. And then I'll turn this way. With the hips staying level, don't let the hips go with you. Walk the hands off to the left a bit and notice the tendency to kick the hips out. So engage the core a little bit and do a little cat-cow off to the side. So it's as though your hips are still, the hands are still forward, the hips, just the hands and the thoracic, the torso, are moving off to the left. And just notice what stretches there that did not stretch, did not activate when you were straight on. And then on the next inhale, back to center, pause a minute, soften between the shoulders, stabilize the hips as you walk over, just enough, not too much. So we're not kicking the hips out of alignment. They're staying as steady as they can. And then cat-cow here. It's as though we tape like a little wooden dowel across your frontal hip bones. And you could see that the wooden dowel is still facing straight ahead towards the short edge of the mat, whereas the torso is off to the side. Oh, that gets into the SI joint on that side. Nice. Oh, and then back over to center and pause. All right, so tuck the left toes, put your kickstand down, tuck the right toes as well, straighten the left leg. With the right hand down, just come over, but keep the left leg on the floor. And you're dragging the inner left foot towards the heel. Yeah, you can change any way you want to. So this leg's not just hanging out there, it's digging down and pulling forward as the inner thighs move back and apart, and then stack the hip on hip, shoulder on shoulder. So you recognize this, right? We usually do it this way, but we're keeping it down for now. Stretch the arm up if the shoulders want it. Move the top and bottom of the ears back evenly. The center back of the head moves back without lifting the chin or tucking, just moving towards the back. And then release. Good, change sides. So we'll tuck the, I'm confused. Yeah, tuck the right leg back. Right leg moves back, right? Tuck the left toes. Put the inner edge, the right toes, sorry. Change sides. See, I forgot what sides we are. So the joy of remembering that I can figure this out. The left knee is down, the inner right edge of the foot is digging into the floor. Now the outer edge of the foot reaches for the floor, may or may not get there, but now drag the straight leg foot towards the bent knee. Inner thighs move back and apart, tailbone lengthens a lot to firm the core, stack hip on hip, shoulder on shoulder. And notice the head. Sometimes the head will hang down, and then sometimes we think we have to lift it up. Can you figure out where middle is? Nice. And pull the back foot in, really pull it in a lot. And inhale, release. Well done. Walk the knees back about a handprint distance, the hands forward about a handprint distance, tuck your toes, shift your hips back towards your heels so you're in a crouchy position. Without moving the shoulders forward, lift the knees and come into dog, walk your dog. Or do half dog at the wall, or any variation that you guys are working with. All right, so weird dog. So stay where you are, lift your heels, and roll to the outer edge of the right foot, the inner edge of the left, but the shoulders now stay squared like regular dog. So you're not lifting. The tendency is to lift then the left shoulder. So pull the outer left shoulder down and the inner right armpit up. And where I feel this is along this nice side of the QL and the obliques. Oh, big stretch there. And then lift back up to regular dog, heels are high, and drop over to the other side. So you're on the edge, ninth edge of your baby toe of the left foot and the inner edge of the right foot. Or if you switch, that's fine. Now square the shoulders. They tend to want to come with us. So it's a little torso twist. Ooh. And a cramp. Stretch it out. Heart moves back towards your feet. Oh. And inhale, come up. Lower the knees. Knees apart, toes together. Come into a child's pose with a block under your head so the head stays in line with the spine. It does not drop below the shoulders. And breathe. And notice with that simple, maybe not so simple, but relatively brief series, we can work up a bit of a heartbeat. All right, come up to face me on your knees, pad as you need to. Stretch your left leg out. So again, you're working the inner edge of the foot, but work to the outer edge as well. But both then are like shoveling in. Take the block, put it between the hands, press, and notice if you lift the elbows slightly, bend the elbows, pull them back, bend them a fair bit. So mine are bent about like this. Lift the elbows and then pull the shoulder blades down the back. So you keep this press, and you notice that when you press, you actually do activate the shoulder blades, the muscles around the shoulder blades. Now, you lift up only so far as you can keep that, because if I start to lift up and get crazy with it, I begin to lose the shoulder blades. So depending on your shoulder flexibility, you may keep it fairly low in front of your face, but keep pushing, and the shoulder blades are hugging onto the back, pulling down. All right, now scissor the legs. So that means the inner edge of the straight leg is moving towards the bent knee is moving towards the inner edge of the straight leg foot. And then just tilt away from the straight leg. And inhale, use the legs, squeeze in and hug up. And pull up. Exhale, lower, keep it strong. Use the legs and the core to pull up so you don't feel this in the low back. Otherwise, the low back has to take on the load that your legs refuse to take and your core refuses to take. Right, and then this will be a little less tilt the other way. And use the bottom hand to help you push up, because the tendency is to drop this, like it stays right over the head. So you have to use the bottom arm, the left arm, to push up more. Oh. release. Yeah, shake off. So I find that just works a lot of things. I'm working my hip flexors and the glutes a lot. The core has to engage. Yep, do a dog in between if you need a sherbet cleanser, a palate cleanser. And then come to side B. All right, set the foot. This leg is working, the straight leg is working a lot. And you're pressing as much of the sole of the foot as you can get on the ground. If the baby toe side does not go, just keep reaching for it. Even you'll feel that stretch along the outside of the right ankle. All right, scissor the legs. So it means you're trying to pull the legs to the midline. Inner thighs move back, tailbone down. Take a breath and come up just halfway. Bend the elbows, lift the elbows up, and then pull the shoulder blades down the back. And just lift overhead as far as you can still keep. If my arms go back too far back, the lower ribs pop out. So you keep everything lined up and you're pushing the block a fair bit, not killer bit, but a fair bit. And then we're tilting away from the leg. And inhale, press down and rise up. Exhale, tilt, engage the core, keep that and rise up. And use the arms. Notice that the top arm wants to get a little crazy and pushy. So the bottom arm is helping you stay in alignment. Ooh, feel the hip flexor on this side more. And up. And then a few to the straight leg side. And notice what's going on with the block upstairs. And if you keep it out in front of you, it's a little easier to see when it gets out of alignment. Bottom ribs are still knitting in and back. Oh. One more. Tilt. And come back. All right. That's right. Tilt. Okay. Let's do a dog to shake it out. Whatever needs to do to shake that out. Again, fairly simple move, pretty big effects. On your next exhale, walk your hands back to your toes, bend your knees as much as you need to, either half forward bend, like public bathroom squat, or full forward bend. Oh, and then little micro bend, micro straighten, micro bend, micro straighten. So a few little pulses. Inhale as you bend the knees, exhale as you straighten, lift your belly button up in and dive forward. Next, inhale, come up halfway, hands on your hips and settle, breathe. Shrug the shoulders, lift the head of the arm bones. Then wait for the wave of the next inhale and press down to rise up. All the way and release. All right. Right now, face me, take a wide stance. Same thing, only different. Arms are the same kind of arms, we'll do different things with the legs. All right, with the feet parallel, for now, lift all 10 toes and connect with the four corners of both feet. The tendency when we wide leg is to roll to the middle. That causes the knee joints to become unstable. So you work to the outer edge a tiny bit more. Then press the shins forward a little bit, like micro bend the knees and hug the heels towards each other. That's a lot. Inner thighs move back and apart. As the tailbone lengthens, the toes land on the floor to help give you balance, but not to clench. Turn your left toes out. Keep the legs hugged in and scissored, the thighs back, tailbone in. Come to the block again like you're carrying this very special birthday cake. Press in, shoulder blades move down the block, back, and then you lift as high as works here. Notice what's going on with the ribs. A lot of this comes out of alignment, so pull it in and back. So with the legs strong, bend the knees and come up. So we'll add something to it in a minute, but just exhale, bend, inhale, up. Keep pressing the block, keep steadying the legs. And now with this, when you bend the knee, just tilt. Not here, but just tilt and inhale up. Straighten, bend, I can see in the camera when my block falls over. Even without my glasses, I can tell where that little thing is going. All right, the benefit. And then one more. And release, shake off. So keeping the arms overhead builds a lot of heat really quickly. Turn both feet in, wiggle your shoulders, make any adjustments you need, and turn your right toes out. So lift all 10 toes, pull up. Now, how do you hug the heels towards each other here? The back heel hugs into the midline, but the front heel then will push more forward. That's how you get the hugging in. And I feel that immediately into my glutes when I do that. I've been working the glutes a lot, Sherry. Sherry's always after us to work the glutes more, which is true. Anything after about age 40, 45, the glutes get really weak and they can pull the back. All right, then the inner thighs move back, tailbone down, extend the toes long, lift your big birthday cake and raise it up, throw it over your head. All right, exhale, the torso stays still for now, just bend to get the feeling of the bend and straighten. So the knee comes right over the ankle, not forward of it, and straighten. Exhale, bend, and inhale, straighten. Right now, add to it. Tilt, keep the block right overhead, and straighten. Tilt, and straighten. And notice, I'm going to work the hip flexors all the way up from the soles of the feet, all the way up to the fingertips are in this. They're remembering to work. So when one part forgets, the other parts have to take on the extra weight. All right, and then push up and release. All right, shake off. What new torture awaits us now? All right. Yeah. So Debbie was saying it was hard to raise the block without raising the shoulders. So what this does, it gives me that sense, as soon as I push here, I can feel the shoulder blades both pushing in and hugging in, right? If I'm pushing, and also raising the elbows helps a little bit. Dropping the elbows, you kind of have to, can't raise them too high. You have to figure out where that is. And then you have to control. So yeah, as soon as this happens, that's not good, right? All right, take a wide stance, have your block with you still. The block will be your friend today, sort of. All right, feet parallel, do a little twist. Now with the twist, you can keep in fact, bend the knees a fair bit and move the knees wide apart as you hug the heels in. You can reach down and hold on to the blocks, or if the spine stays straight with your spider fingers, that works too. Or blocks in any level. Be careful with the blocks high, they get tippy. So find a level of blocks that gives you stability and a little freedom. All right, so hug the heels in, widen the knees. Lift the sits bones as the heart moves towards the floor, not so much back towards your feet, but towards the floor. So the back is long, the head is neutral. And then do a little micro bend, micro straighten. Micro bend, micro straighten. Just play in there to see what needs it. And the next time the legs are straight, you can always keep them bent if there's any pressure. The left hand's on the block. The right hand rests back here on the top of the sacrum. The block can be any height you need. There is a fair bit of weight on the hands, but make more weight go into the legs than the hand. So keep the sacrum level. You have that big birthday cake sitting right on your sacrum there. So the tendency here is, as we start to twist open to the right, is for the left hip to collapse. So pull it back. Imagine someone's pulling your inner left thigh away from the direction you're twisting. So you lengthen on the inhale, spine to crown, and then exhale, just the ribs twist. Keep the head in line with the chin in line with the sternum, so you're not twisting the head too fast. Spin the torso. And as soon as I start to spin the torso, I feel the left hip dropping. So that will also pinch your sacrum. So that's a thing not to forget. And inhale, come back to center. Pause, switch to the other side. So if you need more space, you either bring the block up higher and or come onto your spider fingers. All right, hug the heels towards each other. Micro bend the knees and the inner thighs move back and apart. In, back and apart. And then keeping the right hip level. So keep imagining someone's pulling there. When we've done partner work, we've had someone put a strap right here and just keep it pulling. So you can do a nice twist. So put that imaginary partner on you there. The head is not trying to twist up too fast. You can strain and actually stop the twist if the head goes ahead of the torso. And on your next inhale, release. Heel toe your feet in if they remember how to go that far. All right. All right, come down to the floor. Now, some of us, would be me, likes padding. The floor just, it's not like I'm not well padded enough. I still just like a little padding on the joints. Okay. Don't need the block for right now, but you'll sit, if you sit on your blanket, that's fine. So with this one, the knees are slightly forward and they're stacked. Now, some of you may find putting the hand on a block is helpful, but I'll show it to you first. So if you're on your left side, yes, and the knees are slightly forward, the hand can either be here if you need the help here to push up, or here. So we'll be lifting and lowering slowly. Now, when we lower, it's not a collapse, right? It's just a kiss. You're not letting go of anything. Nothing's taking a break. So everything's remembering to hang on. Bring all your muscles to the party. All right, take a breath. Inhale, claw the floor and lift up, pull up out of your shoulder. Exhale, just tap down a little bit. Inhale, lift up, little micro moves. Exhale, you don't even have to lower all the way to the floor, just a little bit of lowering. And the head wants to flop forward. Keep it in line with the spine, the chin's neither lifting nor tucking. It's just Goldilocks. And you will feel this in the shoulder, absolutely, as long as it doesn't hurt, and release. An option, of course, is always to do it here. We've done that. So if your wrist hurts or shoulder hurts, one of the things to help with the shoulder is to not collapse in the shoulder joint, but to think more about pulling away from the ground. All right, change sides. Oh, so you just sit like you're sitting by the side of, which Greek god sat this way? I don't know, Narcissus or somebody, I don't know. Okay, claw the floor. The standing hand has to be strong. If you collapse and rock all the way out to the heel of the hand, you will ask for more suffering in your life, or at least your wrist. So pull up, shift more to the base of the index finger, base of the thumb. And then the tailbone lengthens, and as you inhale, lift up. Exhale, a little lower. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, a little lower. Keep drawing the energy up away from the earth, not collapsing in the shoulder joint. The shoulder joint will start to take it if the core doesn't do its job, if the legs aren't doing their job. And release. All right, do a little legal slumpasana. So make a wide diamond, sit on a blanket or not, and just hang forward. A nice rounding over. All right, come on up. Yes, okay. So we're kind of playing versions of side plane, but just with some adaptations. We won't go totally towards it. You can always do any of this on your forearm. Please remember that if you're starting to hurt in the wrist or the shoulders. But if you take the blocks, stack them flat on each other, Now, you can straighten the bottom leg. You can put the kickstand in front. If you do this on your forearm, you're not up on 2 blocks. So the hip is resting right on the blocks. If it hurts, put a blanket on top of it. Bottom leg is straight and strong. The sole of the foot's pushing into a real or an imaginary wall. If you have a wall near you, push the foot into the wall. It's really nice. Or you can come here, right? And then you can start with kickstand, push in and lift and lower just to the block. Push in and lift, lower just to the block. Oh, a little pulsing there. And then some of you might try, you can always walk Egyptian where the top leg is in front, or stack them on top. Woo! I know, right? Careful. Keep kickstand if that's where you need to go. All right, enough of that. Change to the other side. There's something about the coming in and out, in and out, in and out that, yeah, Jill just made the face. It was like, you're right, I hate it. Maybe we don't hate it, but we sure are happy when it's over. All right, so you find yourself here. And finding that place that doesn't pinch and doesn't hurt is sometimes interesting on this side. So pat it with a blanket if you need to. Kickstand if you want. I recommend starting with the kickstand. Front arm. So the standing arm, if it's right under the shoulder, you're going to put a pinch on the wrist and cause the shoulder joint to work a little hard. So it's technically, the wrist is lined up with the outer shoulder, not the inner armpit. All right, hand on the hip, take a breath. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. And play a bit if you want to play walking Egyptian, where the inner edge of the top foot is on the floor in front of the back foot. Oh. Or stack. Woo! Anybody feeling that? Yeah. And I have the AC up to like 73 or something, down to 73. All right. Woo! Mama's tired here. All right. Let me see. What else? Okay. So take a, sit on a blanket or 2. Take a wide stance. So we did this standing. So you'll see we've done things standing. We've done the same thing standing and on the floor. It's just the relationship to gravity changes. Flex the feet. The knees are pointing straight up to the ceiling. Toes are pointing straight up to the ceiling. Bend the knees a fair bit. Pull them up. You may have to pull your heels back a bit. So bend them up. So there's at least, like, you could slide maybe a block underneath there. Not that we do, but you can. Spread the toes, dig the heels into the earth, pull the heels back towards the hip a lot as you step on the gas with the ball of the foot slightly. Not Dallas style, run the red light, step on the gas, but just increase it a bit. The hands come inside your of the legs, and the inner thighs are pressed with the elbows. So it's like you're ironing the inner thighs out. Oh, you feel a little more stretch here in the adductors. Now keep, it's though you're trying to squeeze the legs together and pull the heels back, and then push the inner thighs away, even though the inner thighs are trying to come in. You can walk as deeply, you can tilt as far forward as you want, not round, but you're tilting from the hips. So you're essentially rolling more and more on the frontmost edge of the sits bones, not rolling back and collapsing forward. So getting to the floor, it's great if you can, but it probably just means you're a little more flexible than the average bear. Oh, it's better to do this eccentric stretch where we're engaging the muscles as we're stretching. So you want to feel stretch and work at the same time. Oh, release. Got it, Debbie? I thought you said them. All right, shake off. All right, Janu Shirshasana. So it's like a one-legged forward bend. So it's like tree pose in a way. And again, sometimes on one side, the one that I tended to twist and sprain more, it hurts more. It wants a blanket underneath there, so help it as you need it. And you can adjust your blanket as you need to. So your hips are, the pelvis is kind of at an angle. So if the leg is straight, my hips are cutting across at an angle. So you can take your right knee back a bit, open the right hip rather than forward, move it open. So your belly button's facing like where the doorknob is over there. Then the leg and the sternum move. Do you see the twist now in the, yeah, so it's not a huge twist, but you're twisting then, Debbie, towards your straight leg. There you go. You feel it's a little nice one. The right hand goes to the outside of the left leg somewhere. The left hand can perch up on a block or the ground, depending on how long your arms are. And then bending this one helps me move the torso around. It's not, you're not gonna move a lot. Again, the head, keep it in line with the sternum. The tendency to whack it around is strong within us. Ow, I heard that. All right, keep it in line. And then square the shoulders back with the toes, still a little bit of a twist, and work the heart, lift up out of your pelvis and lift the heart towards the toes. Lift up and out. It's like if someone were holding my hands here, somebody please hold my hands, right? It's like I need a hug. They're pulling me up and out as opposed to down. So if it doesn't hurt your back to be here, you can get that feel and then lower the arms when you want to or stay here. Some of you might be able to get, so we don't need a strap for this. You can certainly use one, but it works good to not always have the strap to help us to feel the difference of doing it muscularly rather than just pulling. And then inhale. Do another neutral wide leggedy thing. And come into Baddha Konasana. And then Janu Shirshasana on the other side. Say that 5 times fast. All right, so remember, your leg is parallel with the long edge of the mat, or if you're parallel with the short, whatever edge of the mat you're working on, then the hips are cutting across. Leg straight, hips are cutting across. Then lift up and out of your hips and turn the shoulders to face your toes. And breathe. So you're still working the legs here, even though you can release a little more than when you're standing. The foot's doing a gentle press on the inner straight thigh, and the straight thigh is pushing into the bent leg foot, and you're lifting up and out. That gives you the strength to lift up and out. If my legs aren't doing anything, then lifting up and out becomes an effort, as opposed to when the legs work, I just want to naturally lift up. The right hand comes somewhere to the outside of left hand comes somewhere to the outside of the right leg. The right fingertips perch up, working kind of behind you, and you just deepen the twist a little more. Now here's what will happen too. I just notice my body is an endless source of entertainment to me, the things that it wants to do to crawl out from under what I'm doing. As I twist, you might notice that the foot's twisting with you. So try to keep this straight up in alignment, unclench the jaw, and notice also sometimes the shoulders will come up. So find a way to move them down. And inhale, release. And then square the shoulders so you're still in a little twist. This would be no twist. It's a little twist. That was the bigger twist. So you're in the middle twist. And you lift up and out, roll to the frontmost and innermost edge of the sits bones. The hips are lifting and tilting the pelvis. And then you can take hold of the leg maybe, or on the outside of the leg. I find sometimes, even though I'm stretching straight towards the toes, if I use the left hand to hold to the outside of the right calf, I get that sense of straightening, even because it's a little twist. Oh, I definitely need to drink more water today. and release. All right. A little core work. Kind of like a little night music, right? Have a block. Where this block goes, you guys can face to the inside, to the center of the room. Where this block goes, so we've all been to classes where they've had us do crunches all the way down, all the way up. And if you've hung with me at any time at all, you know that that's not good for us. And most of us end up using our neck and all of that stuff. So we're doing little micro crunches are really helpful. So if you, where this goes, and you might even have it up high, depending on, it's more of a guide. You're not going to sit on it or lean on it. You're just going to find it. So if, and you can sit up on a blanket if the hip bones don't like being in here. You're holding this nice tray again, lifting the elbows and come back. So you're rounding a little bit, not collapsing. You're pulling the low belly in, and it's more that you're puffing out the kidney area, the back ribs, not so much the low back until you touch the block. Just barely touch it and come up. Now, if that's not enough for you, you move the block back or lower it, and you say, well, I don't know, that's too much. So then you just, got it? Yeah. So it's small, and you can round the middle back if you can figure out, that's kind of cat back in a way without tilting. It's as though you're trying to reach the bottom ribs towards the block. And sitting up on a blanket sometimes helps if you're feeling this rock, rock, rock over the sits bones. Oh. And the legs are working, feet are pressing down, pulling back and hugging to the midline. And then play around with how wide your feet are apart and the knees are apart. Sometimes a wide angle gives you some space, but makes you work a little differently. The legs together is just different. Neither wrong, just different. Ooh, and release. So come into a big diamond. It's like a bound angle pose, but really loose. Come forward, and maybe the block can go on its end on top of your feet to rest, or you can put your hands under it to help you rest. Or if your feet head to nowhere close to the block, just relax over, round over. All right, round two, come on up. So again, if your feet were hip width apart, bring them wider than hip width apart, roughly mat width apart. Feet are parallel along the long edges. Lift up and in, connect xiphoid to tailbone, arrow to arrow. Gently hug the block, micro bend the elbows, and pull the shoulder blades onto the back to lift the heart. Now go back slightly and off to the right. Inhale front and up. Exhale back, off to the right. We'll just play the right. Inhale front and up. Same side. Well, you can always alternate it if you prefer, but work the same side until there's some fatigue. That's 3. We'll count them. Oh. With the breath. So you exhale when you're working your abs the hardest. That's rolling back and to the side. That's 6, I think, 4, 5. This is 6. And up and over. Take a rest in between, either straighten the legs or flop forward, whatever the body needs to release from that. So I do find that I am working my inner thighs here. I'm feeling them work. You don't want them to cramp or grip, but you are working all of the hip flexors and the joints. All right. So this block back here may or may not be a guide, but it does help you not go too far, because I know I've done this like in Pilates classes or bar classes. I've gone back, but then it's like, I can't get up anymore, right? So this just keeps you from going too far at your volume control in a sense. All right, hold your birthday cake. Gently press, lift the elbows, pull the head of the arm bones back, shoulder blades hug onto the back. Inhale, lift, exhale, curl back, pull the belly button to the spine, off to the side, and then inhale back up to center and up. Exhale back to the left. Inhale center and up. Exhale back and left. Inhale center That's 3 more to go. Hurts more on this side, doesn't it? Exhale, over, inhale, and up. Exhale, over, inhale, and up. One more. Exhale, pull the belly button back to the spine, soften the jaw, soften the face, then inhale and up. Having fun yet? I know. All right. Take a child's pose. So take the first child's pose with the knees together. You can always have a blanket under your knees. That's something I love. And you can have a blanket between the knees, between the calves and the thighs. It can give you a little bit of lift here. For the first one, a block in front of you, not sure what level you'll need it. Take your fist, pull them into your low belly, right at the hip crease. So you're not up here, you're below, you're into the pelvis. Pull in and up, exhale until the head might come to the block. And then breathe into your fist. So you'll notice you'll really find your diaphragm here. Inhale and exhale. You'll notice that the belly pushes in on the fist and the fists are providing some resistance. So you let the fist kind of pull away from the belly as you inhale and the diaphragm drops down. And then as you exhale, the fist pull up and in. It's a great massage for the organs. And then inhale. Rise up. Woo, that'll wake you up. And then take a wide child's pose. Knees apart, toes together. Sorry, I have to do some blanket adjustment.
You mean hero
wide
pose?
Child, we're going into a wide knee. This is hero pose here. And that's the other. We're not sitting in between the feet. The feet are together, knees are wide apart. Does that make sense, Mary?
Thanks.
Okay. And then sits bones are moving back, the thighs are moving in, back, and apart, and you come forward, and the head can rest on your stacked hands or on a block. The forehead just rests on the edge. And let the belly breathe fully. The belly soft. Place your hands on either side of, like right in front of your knees, either side of the knees, and then on your next inhale, come up. Roll all the way onto your back. Have a block near you. Oh. Moaning is perfectly okay about this time if you haven't already set the moaning. Just take that moment. I don't know about you, I tell you this all the time, but I tend to rush from one thing to the next, and just staying here for a moment and enjoying how wonderful it feels for that first few moments of being on your back after a practice. I love to savor that. It's so easy for me to rush right through that, but that's like a little mini vacation. Now, if we stay here long enough, it will no longer be so sweet. It took me a lot of years to figure that out. And then do a little cat-cow pelvic tilts here. Use your feet, and if you push your feet away from your bum, they're not moving, but you're just pushing into your feet, your back waist flattens. That's like cat, and the sits bones start to move up towards the ceiling. Then if you pull the feet isometrically towards the hips, the sits bones drop closer to the heels, and your back waist lifts. Not by any lifting of you're not trying to lift your pelvis off the floor. You're rocking back and forth. Just a rock. And if you use the feet, then you can start to speed that up a little bit to where it's just a very gentle pulsing wave rocking. And the head is relaxed, it goes along with it. The nose is saying a little yes each time you pulse, because the connection between the hips and the neck and shoulders is nice and loose, of course, because we've been working it. This is a self-soothing kind of move to relax the nervous system, bring it all back in balance. And then come to stillness, lift your hips, and slide your block underneath you. If you're not doing an inversion, you can always do a supported fish with the two blocks, one under your heart, the back of your heart, and one under the back of your head. And then snuggle your shoulder blades underneath you so you get a big chest opening here. And take some nice, deep, full breaths. You can place your hands on your low belly. And notice that as you inhale, the belly expands and lifts the fingers slightly. And inhale and exhale through your nose. So if you can only do one, inhale or exhale through the nose, it's best to inhale through the nose. Exhaling through the mouth, not a bad thing. Preferable to do both, inhale, exhale through the nose. But sometimes if we get stuffed up, then always preference the inhale through the nose. So this makes supported bridge a kind of pranayama practice as you're concentrating on deep diaphragmatic breathing. And then on your next inhale, lift your hips, slide your block out from under you, and do any movements you want to do before final relaxation. And settle in. Begin to deepen your breath. Invite gentle movement, starting with the hands and the feet, stretching your arms and legs, yawning, making a face, knocking your water bottle over. And then slowly draw your knees in and roll to your side. Any side works. Whatever side you roll to is the side you need to be on. And rest there for a few moments. And rolling a little more towards the earth, slide your hands underneath you and press yourself up to a seated position. Sit any way on blankets, blocks, cross-legged, hero pose. And pause, again, that sweet pause after your practice. Find the stillness, the calm, clear lake. Draw your palms together in front of your heart center. Namaste. Thank you, guys.